What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a great day out there today. So today we are going to have a little shop work with the Kraton 8S. A few modifications I want to do to it and a few little upgrades. And I want to give a shout out to Ven7 Hell Junkie. Gave me some great advice on his Kraton 8S and what he did to modify or change, the back shocks on this thing a little bit to make it a little more plush and not so bouncy and take some of those harder jumps a little bit. Big thing he suggested was going with the 30 weight in the rear, which is a 30 CST or 350 CST oil, but the 30 weight. So I'm going to put those in the rear. I'm going to go over the front. Stock has 40 weight all around on these trucks. So we're going to drop it down in the back, which normally we're always going up, but on this thing, it's kicking the back end around a little too much. Need to get that softened up in the back so it absorbs some of those smaller hits and doesn't kick that back end so bad. So we are going to change the shock oil out on this thing, and also I was wanting to change out the center differential fluid to something heavier, so I stopped getting the ballooning going on in the front, transfer that power a little better. I was debating on going with 1 or 2 million weight, but you know me, I'm just going to go straight to the silicone earplugs and see how I like it. So we're going to stick some silicone earplugs in the center of this thing and see how I like that. Also, I got to straighten up this rear drive shaft on this side. It's a little tweaked after the motocross track the other day. So we're going to get working on that stuff, guys, so stay tuned. All right, guys. Well, the first things I'm going to get working on, I'm going to straighten this drive shaft out of here first and get this thing out of here. I'm sure most of you know about pulling these things out and how to it, so I'm going to get this thing out of here the rest of the way and get that straightened up. But yeah, it's definitely got a decent little tweak to that thing. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but she is a little bent. All right, well, I got the drive shaft out of here. It basically comes out the same way as your 6S line. You have drive shaft comes through and you got your grub screw that holds your pin into this thing. Basically your pin's through that, and then your grub screw goes down in there and holds it in there. It's the same way as the 6S line. All right, well, a few taps of the hammer, and she straightened out pretty good. It's nearly perfect again, so I'm going to get this back in there, and then I'm going to get working probably on the back shocks. I haven't torn the center differential out of this thing yet, so I'm sure this will be an experience. Hopefully it's not too crazy, but we're going to find out. All right, guys, well, we got the first shock out of here. Just the 2 screws, top and bottom, comes out real easy. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing in the vise and get this thing popped apart and get the oil drained out of it. I'll bring you back when I got this thing apart. All right, well, we've got the bottom clip and the spring off of it. Just push back the spring, the bottom retainer pops right off, spring slides off, and then top just unscrews like most other ones. Get this thing unscrewed off of here. We are going to drain the old shock oil into this bottle and maybe save it just in case I could ever use it for something else. It's 40 weight and it hasn't been used very long. So got a little bladder on the top. Gonna drain this stuff out. I grabbed 2 bottles of the 30 weight because I'm not sure. I didn't read to find out how much fluid actually is held in these back shocks. I probably should have ahead of time, but you know me, kind of winging it sometimes. But get all this stuff drained out of here. And we're going to go ahead and start filling her up with the new stuff. All right, well, we got the old stuff out of there, so we're going to start filling her up with the new 30 weight. See how much this thing takes to fill this sucker up. It's quite a large shock. But we got her good way filled up here. We're going to start running the plunger here and getting all the air bubbles out of it. Luckily, I'm not even seeing too much air bubbles or stuff in there at all. So that's good. Got to put a little bit more in her. Run her a few more times. And I don't even see any tiny little air bubbles or anything floating up to the top, amazingly enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and work her a few more times and get this thing back together. Once you get her all bled out, go ahead and basically do what you did in reverse. All right, I'm going to get this thing back together. I'll bring you back whenever I'm going to do the other shocks. I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff, so I will bring you back whenever I start disassembling the center differential on this thing. All right, well, kind of lied. I just brought you back here, got the shock all back together again. Feels really good, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other ones. And also, the big thing that he was also telling me about changing out the shock hole, besides the handling, changing the way that this thing bounces in the back, was that it also will help save your shock shafts, so that it allows that shock to compress a little bit quicker and doesn't bend or snap off your shock shafts. So that was another benefit to doing this. All right, guys, well, I'm starting to tear it down. I pulled the side skirt off and the battery box off this side. Pulling the little cap off of the pinion gear and the center differential here. See what I get into. Like I said, I've never pulled this apart before or had to pull this center out, so it is a little bit of a learning experience. It looks like I'm going to have to pull out these cross braces, or at least one end of them, and then hopefully this should unbolt as one big piece, I think. So we're going to give that a try. And those of you that have watched some of the other videos on this Kraton, yes, I do have a grub screw in the pinion gear now. There's a grub screw with some blue Loctite, and I have the E-clip. So they're both on there now. It was weird that, you know, the stock one came without a grub screw, and the new one, the 23 tooth that I put on here, does not have a grub screw. Apparently that was somebody at the factory must have been on a Friday and wanted to get the hell out of there, I guess. All right, guys, well, I got the whole center apart here. I'll show you real quickly what screws you got to remove to pull this thing out. It comes out as one big assembly. There also is a little red O-ring that sits right in here. You'll see the little groove that it fits into, so make sure that is on there when you put it back together. On the bottom, flip this over, there are five of these screws. There's one here, here, and here. These two, and this one. That's what holds your whole entire center differential in there. And you'll see there's 3 or 5 of these larger screws. So just figured I'd add that. That's how you get the whole center out of it. But now I am going to get tearing this thing apart, which never had one of these apart either. So this is all, I'm taking my time, and I'll bring you guys back in stages as I get it all apart and have it figured out for myself. All right, guys. Well, there are 5 screws. These 5 around here. Pull those out. And you got your case. One side of the case splits off. And now the whole center disc should wiggle out of here. We'll slide that bearing off. Or not bearing, but gear. There we go. So now we got it free. So I know that I believe this end is what has to come off. But I'm going to pull this apart here, and I'll bring you back whenever I know for sure. All right, guys. Well, I popped 4 screws off of this side. It doesn't really look like it matters. But, yep. Maybe it does. All I have on this side is some silicone. It's kind of weird. This whole thing is like filled with silicone. I'm going to take the other side off here and check it out, because I'm not sure what's going on here. So I'll bring you guys back in a moment. But yeah, I mean, it's filled with silicone. All right, guys, well, this is interesting. I pulled the other side off, and there is no fluid in here. It is basically silicone earplugs are already in this thing. You know, I don't know if this is normal. I've seen other guys having normal fluid in theirs. However, mine is silicone earplugs. That's exactly what it feels like at any rate. So, I guess this was all for nothing. I guess I'm going to put it back together and mess around with it. I'm not even sure what to do or really say at this point, because it was just bizarre. I might at some point check the fluids on the front and rear differentials, but at any rate, the front is already done for me from the factory, apparently. I don't know if this is something new on the new V2s or what, but yeah, it's got silicone. Well, guys, got her all back together again. I don't know. the silicone, I guess Arma decided to just bypass all the fluids and just go directly to silicone earplugs, which I know a lot of people were doing. But that's what it's got in them, at least on the V2s. This is the latest version out. Mine has silicone earplugs pretty much in the center. Might be something different, but it feels exactly like a silicone earplug. So seems like what's in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this thing back together now and I guess take this thing for a quick little rip. Not going to be much of a stuff to change because I guess I can't really do a whole lot with the center differential now. I guess at least now I know how it comes apart and how it works, so that's a plus. I'll bring you guys back when it's all back together, though. All right, guys. Well, we got her all back together again. Everything sounds good. Got the mesh set. Everything's all tightened up. I guess, if anything, this was a learning experience, finding out that this center differential was already filled up with earplugs. So anybody else out there that has the V2, I'm assuming all of them have that. That's how they're doing them on the new V2s, because I've talked to other people that had the V1s and the V1.5s, and all of them had fluid. They were talking about changing, they were saying about that they changed theirs out to 1 million and 2 million weight fluid, but yeah, this thing's got silicone, so it was a learning experience. Got to rip apart some of the car and see how it's put together and how to tear it apart and fix it in the future. So anyway, so we got the center differential kind of figured out. We got the grub screw on the center, or on the pinion gear now, so that's nice and tight and not going to go anywhere. We got a drive shaft straightened out, and we got the 30 weight shock oil in it now. So suspension, it definitely feels a little softer in the back, so I guess next time we take it down to the track, we'll test this thing out and see how she feels and how it handles. But that's going to do it for the video today, guys. I hope some of it was helpful. If any of you guys are going to work on these or getting one, if there's any questions or anything else, please feel free to ask me. I always answer everything back in the comments. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. But that's going to do it. So until next time, y'all, be safe, be careful out there. Peace out, everybody.